The more you try to fix your relationship, the more it slips from your fingers. The more you reach with anxious hands to hold it together, the thinner becomes the fabric you are trying to save. You have seen it, the vigilant talks at midnight, the bargains made at the breakfast table, the boundaries moved like levers to force the other into goodness. And yet the very tightening of your grip becomes the quiet invitation for love to evaporate. He that saveth his life shall lose it. Release it, loose it, let it go. Now hear this. Not all the truth that you can say about love, not all the books, not all the flawless scripts of communication will heal a simple ache between two hearts. It has to be God's grace. I, of my own self, can do nothing. That is not humility for the sake of appearing meek. It is a statement of law. For harmony is not the child of pressure, it is the offspring of presence. Love cannot be managed by bargains any more than light can be nudged into a room by argument. Christ doesn't send harmony. Christ is harmony. Love isn't a quality we import into our home by better technique. Love is the nature of God and must be realized, and then it registers in the very places we thought needed our fixing. I speak to you who have tried. You have texted at every hour. Are we okay? You have crafted lists, exchanged them like treaties. You have policed glances and measured tones. And after all that management, you lie awake wondering why the more you fix, the further it slips. The answer is in the direction of your attention. You have fixed your gaze on the person, on behavior, on outer conduct, as if that were the source. But the kingdom of God is within you. The spring is within. The fountainhead is not out there in his mood or her compliance. It is within your consciousness. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. What if harmony comes when you stop trying to make it happen? What if the government of your home rests upon his shoulder, not yours? What if 1 minute of realized stillness does more for your union than hours of skillful negotiation without it? Do not misunderstand me. Words and wise boundaries have their place when they are the overflow of peace. But to use them as levers in fear is to impoverish love. Perfect love casteth out fear. Fear tries to manage, love releases. Fear accounts, audits, and enforces. Love beholds what God is being here and lets it be law. So let us begin where all true healing begins, not out there, not even with your good intentions, but within. I get quiet. My attention now is turned to God. I am not trying to send thoughts to anyone. I am not constructing a better argument. I am not presenting my partner to the Spirit as a case to be won. I am only consenting to the fact that Christ is present, that love is the only law. I sit until either a word or a warmth rises. Sometimes there is just a hush, a softening, and I hear within, peace, be still. That peace is not a mood. It is the activity of God. Once felt, it becomes the law of your experience without your pushing. Because there is only one soul here, one mind, one spirit. What is realized in your consciousness registers as harmony where it is welcome, without your influence attempts. This is the promise. Heal the bond by healing your consciousness. Not because you make your partner different, but because you are no longer asking a person to be your source. You turn away from the idol of control and turn toward the living God. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty for you from grasping. Liberty for them from your demands. Then, only then, speak, act, plan, but first, be still until love becomes the law. Let loose right now. Release it, loose it, and let it go. And in the release, you will find you have not lost, but discovered the one who holds all. Now let us look quietly and honestly at the small ways fear dresses itself in the garments of love and calls it care. You know the scene, the phone face down on the counter, and something in you cannot leave it be. You say, it will help me feel safe, and your hand reaches anyway. You scroll messages you were not invited to see. You rehearse tones. You study punctuation marks for betrayal. You set up another talk. This time you have notes. You have lines you will say and lines you expect to hear. You calendar it. You place it between errands and sleep and call it stewardship of the relationship. You propose shared locations, not from liberty, but from an inward ache that says, if I can see the dot on the map, I can rest. You volunteer to plan their days. Let me book it for you. It will be easier. While something beneath knows you are managing what you fear you cannot trust. And under all that choreography, there is a whisper, thin and persistent. Without my grasp, this will slip. That whisper is not the Christ. What is the course? First, exhaustion. You do not sleep. You stage dialogues in the dark and wake to the same performance. Second, the heart grows small. Joy has less room to dance because you have filled the house with rules for where joy may step. Third, trust does not grow by these labors. It starves. Like a plant potted in too small a cup, it circles itself until it has no place left to root. Your partner feels it. You feel it. Every glance is cross-examined. Every late reply becomes evidence. The tender, how was your day, turns into a probe. The home becomes a courtroom. Love stands at trial. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But where fear governs, there is parole, check-ins, conditions. And then your speech becomes polished. Oh yes, each point numbered, each clause prefaced with therapy words, but it is not the letter that heals. Not all the truth that you can recite about healthy attachment will ease a single knot if Christ is buried in the tomb of your mind. It has to be God's grace. Hear the law that overturns all this grasping. The more we hold on to a thing, the less we have it. The more you try to demonstrate the safety of your bond by policing it, the less safety appears. The more you try to save your life by hedging and proving, the more your life leaks through your fingers. Take no thought for your life, not because life is unworthy of thought, but because life is God's self-expression, and it does not answer to your anxious machinery. You cannot add 1 cubit to this stature by taking thought. You can only shorten the reach of your own heart. Jealousy says, if I watch, I will be secure. Control says, if I shape, I will be loved. But what do they deliver? Poverty. Even if the body stays, the soul finds hiding places. The laughter turns thin. Kisses become reports. And as for you, you may win a schedule, a password, a promise with a timestamp, but you have traded away the very liberty in which love breathes. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The idol of outcomes must come down. The idol of your partner or source must come down. The idol of your techniques, forensic kindness, calendar care must come down. For love is not an import from your cleverness. Love is the nature of God, realized, and then it flows. Let loose right now. Release it, loose it, and let it go. Not as a tactic to get a better afternoon, not as a negotiation trick, but as an act of worship. Loose the phone. Loose the schedule you built to fence another soul. Loose the script you were going to read tonight. Loose the demand that they prove they are safe. Loose the self who thinks she can keep a world in orbit by edict. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God. Believe in God here. Believe that Christ is the safety, Christ is the fidelity, Christ is the harmony, not sent as a reward for your vigilance, but present as the law where grasping has yielded. If there is to be a word, it will be given. If there is to be a boundary, it will be born of peace. But first, let love be itself by surrendering your ownership of it. The more you try to capture the bird, the less song you will hear. Open the windows of your heart and let the air of heaven govern your house. So it is that control impoverishes love, and only in release does love appear as itself and become the law of your life together. Now we come to the crux, and it will overturn the very market of your anxieties. There is no separate love to get. There is no such thing as a relationship harmony in and of itself, sitting somewhere like a loaf on a shelf, waiting for you to buy it with the coins of apology and the bills of better technique. Love is not a thing. Peace is not a thing. Fidelity is not a thing. These are not commodities. They are qualities and activities of God. They are the very nature of the Christ, being itself, where it is realized. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. All these things are not added as prizes to seeking. They appear as expressions of that which is sought when that is found to be already at hand within you. So long as you believe there is a better love to get, you will chase persons, rearrange schedules, and fit your life with devices to secure what cannot be bought. Hear me. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things. The moment you imagine love as an object to be acquired, you have fashioned an idol and called it healthy communication. And then you will polish the idol with language and polish the idol with plans, and you will have an idol that gleams and a heart that still thirsts. Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The spring is within you. The well is within you. If you draw from the outer cisterns, you will drink and thirst again. If you turn to the presence, you will find that love is not a visitor. Love is the very atmosphere of God realized where you are. Do not mistake the letter for the life. Not all the truth you can recite about attachment styles, not all the perfectly worded I statements will heal a simple quarrel. It has to be grace. I of my own self can do nothing, neither make peace, nor hold another faithful, nor sustain warmth between two temperaments. The flesh profiteth nothing. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. When the presence is realized, there is a softening that no reasoning can produce, a seeing that no lecture can deliver. Then your words, if there are to be words, will be the overflow of life, and not the scaffolding propping up a fear. I tell you a small story. A woman once wrote after a fierce argument, certain the bond was broken. She begged for a truth to say to him. I did not send a truth to say. I did not send any thought at all. I sat down and withdrew both of them from my attention. The names, the incident, even the outcome. My attention now had turned to God. I waited. Presently, there was a hush, and with it the simple assurance, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That was all. Within the hour she wrote again, not knowing why the air had changed, only that it had. No argument had been won. No point had been conceded. Peace had come of itself. Because there are not many demonstrations, there is only one demonstration. The realization of the Christ. Now let this sink deep. Stop trying to demonstrate a better partner, a safer bond, a more reliable affection. Stop trying to demonstrate anything or anybody. There is no such thing as relationship harmony apart from God to go and get. There is only the Christ realized. And when the Christ is realized, love is the law where you stand. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. Wait until there is either a warmth, a release, or a word not of your planning. That will be your sign that the government is upon his shoulder. And when the government is there, do you see how naturally the outer becomes lawful without your push? Because there is only one life here, one mind, one spirit. What is realized as God within becomes the tone, the law, the very fabric of your togetherness, without thought sending, without influence attempts, without a single lever pulled. So we do not work for love. We behold love already being itself. We do not strive for peace. We discover peace present and we let it govern. We do not manufacture fidelity. We witness the faithfulness of God as the ground upon which both of you stand. This is the revelation. Harmony is not achieved, it is realized. And realized, it appears effortless as dawn, certain as law, because it is not your possession. It is God's self-expression where you have loosed your claim and let him be what he is. Now we take the hands off the levers completely. Stop working on them. Lay down every tool that points outward scripts to elicit tenderness, practices to coax kindness, questions designed to steer confession, even prayers that are really wishes in disguise. Stop trying to demonstrate a kinder spouse. Do not trim a single branch on the other tree. Withdraw the person from your altar. Let loose right now. Release it, loose it, and let it go. Not because you have given up on love, but because love cannot be compelled. Harmony is not manufactured. It appears when the only worker is at work. How then? I will tell you exactly as I do. I sit down, I grow quiet, and I say within, I of my own self can do nothing. My attention now has turned to God. I am not bringing a case. I am not rehearsing last night's words. I am not deciding the right response to a text. I am not visualizing their better self. I refuse thought sending. I refuse influence. I am not projecting love toward another mind. There is only one mind. I withdraw the picture of the person, the sound of the voice, the place at the table where the argument sat. I withdraw the outcome I secretly want, even the good and holy ones. I release them all into the invisibility of God. Then I rest with a single word in the heart. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Do not fear the emptiness that follows. It is holy ground. In that waiting there may be a hush, as if the winds that had whipped your chest suddenly run out of breath. Or there may come a warmth, a soft flowing through the body. No argument to defend it. Only presence announcing itself. And sometimes there is a word, not of your choosing, so slight you could miss it. Peace, be still. When this is felt, even faintly, let it be enough. That hush is the Christ at work. It is the Father that doeth the works. Not the letter you know, not the righteousness you hope to enforce, only the realized presence. And it will be law unto your house. You ask, but if I do not work on them, will nothing change? See how the old hunger speaks. It wants to hold both the reins and the miracle. Loosen it. What you realize of God in your own awareness becomes the atmosphere you live in, and the receptive will breathe it without ever thinking of you. Do not try to make that happen. Only realize God, because there is only one life here, one mind, one spirit. What is realized within lawfully registers without, but it does so by grace, not by push. If there is to be a conversation, it will be given in its hour. If there is to be a boundary, it will rise from peace like a shoreline after tide, not from fear's alarms. Until then, remain still. Picture this in the ordinary. You have a message drafted, sharpened to a fine point. You feel the heat in your chest, the courtroom waking up. Put down the device. Sit in your chair. Close the door if you must. Say within, Father, into thy hands. Then stop. No more words. No more fixing. Wait until the room inside you clears, whether by a breath that smooths the surface, or a warmth that loosens the sternness of your mouth, or only the simple assurance, my grace is sufficient for thee. Then rise. Perhaps you will send nothing. Perhaps you will send one plain sentence without edge. Perhaps you will simply be found a different person when you meet again. You will know by the peace. Peace is your only credential. Peace is the sign that the worker has taken his place. Practice this every time the urge to manage appears. Each time the mind reaches toward them to arrange, recall yourself. I of my own self can do nothing. My attention now has turned to God. Let that be your whole ministry. Turn from the person to the presence. Let God be the only worker here. And in that sacred yielding, you will find the governance has shifted shoulders, and the yoke you carry becomes easy. Not because you have mastered a partner, but because love has mastered the moment. Be still and know, then wait. Now, let us make it very simple and very exact. Take a literal 60 seconds, not a figure of speech, a minute on the clock, together at the kitchen table or apart in different rooms. It makes no difference in spirit because there is only one life here, one mind, one spirit. Sit down. Put the device face down. Close your eyes if you will, and within, say only this, here I am, thy will be done. Then be still. Don't add another word. Don't decorate it. Don't turn toward them in your thought. Don't even turn toward the problem. Turn toward God. I of my own self can do nothing. My attention now is turned to God. Then wait. If you are together, you need not touch. Let the touching be of consciousness, not of hands. If you are apart, the distance does not enter into it. One consciousness is the only meeting place. Say within softly, as a breath you do not push, be still and know that I am God. Then nothing. Wait. Listen without listening for anything in particular. Make a holy vacancy. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. That is all. What are you waiting for? A seal, not fireworks, not a vision to report, but a touch, perhaps warmth, that begins in the chest and moves as though a small lamp were lit and refuses to argue about it. Perhaps a softening, a slack in the jaw, a shoulder that drops without command. Perhaps only a sentence not of your planning that forms inside, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That is enough. That is the sign that the worker has taken his place. Then and only then rise. If words are needed after such a minute, they will be few and clean. If no words come, nothing has been lost. The work is underway where it must be, within. If no peace comes in 60 seconds, do nothing outward. Do not try to improve the silence with a speech. Do not send the draft you prepared. Do not convene the talk because you scheduled it. Remain quiet. If necessary, take another minute and another, not as a test of endurance, but as a gentle abiding in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The flesh profiteth nothing. It has to be God's grace. When peace touches you, even lightly, you will know. Peace is your green light. Without it, remain at rest. Make this a shared practice. Say to one another, not as tactic, but as worship, shall we take our minute? Do it before you bring up the difficult thing. Do it when you feel the pulse quicken and the courtroom in your chest begins to seat the jury. Do it in the morning when the house is not yet choosing sides. Do it at night when you would be tempted to untie the day with more knots of talk. 1 minute of realized stillness does more than hours of negotiation without it, because 1 minute in which Christ is felt becomes law to the atmosphere you live in. Negotiation rearranges chairs in a storm. Realized peace stills the wind. Let me tell you how ordinary this holiness is. A man wrote that each evening ended in indictment. They agreed to try a minute. The first night, nothing, only fidgets and the long tug of the mind. They stayed quiet. The second night, the woman felt a slight warmth and a phrase. Fear not, it is I. No speech followed. On the third night, they took the minute at the sink with soap on their hands. There was a softening, and by the time the plates were drying, the grievance had no breath to live. No one had won a point. Christ had taken his place as the only law there, and the world's quarrel had no courtroom to sit in. Do not hurry the minute. Do not measure it by whether the other changes his face. This is not influence. It is surrender. Do not peek for results. Seek God alone. Thy will be done. And should you ask, but will I miss my chance to speak? Hear the answer the Spirit always gives me. Wait until the inner assurance comes. Then speak if you must. In the rhythm of that assurance, without it, your finest letter will not heal a simple headache. With it, one plain sentence or a simple smile may do more than your arguments ever dreamed. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage. The minute is the doorway. Step through it. Remain until peace touches you, then let peace lead. Now let us see how this peace becomes operative beyond your skin, and why 1 minute of realization does more for a home than a day of debate. It is because there is only one life in which we live and move, only one mind that knows, only one soul that loves, only one spirit that is the very substance of being. We are not many little minds trying to influence each other from across a fence. There is one consciousness appearing as you and as your partner. When, within this one consciousness, the Christ is realized, that realization becomes law unto the atmosphere in which you both dwell. Not as thought sending, not as persuasion, but as what is love being itself. This is no mystery play. You know how a lamp lit in one corner illumines the whole room. It does not send beams to separate chairs, negotiating with each. It is simply itself, and therefore it shines. So with realization, when in the sanctuary of your own being, there is a touch of my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace is not confined to your rib cage. It is the nature of God, recognized in the one. Mind and as law, it registers wherever there is the slightest receptivity to it, often without a name, often without anyone thinking of you at all. The kingdom of God is within you. When you know it there, it is law here and there, because here and there are not two to spirit. Do not confuse this with the lower art of mental suggestion. We do not will a mood across a table. We do not project pictures into another mind. That is not surrender. That is still control, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. The moment you try to send a feeling, you have left God to handle a person, and you have returned to the poverty of two minds. Loose it. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. We give up even the wish for a result and let God be God. Then the law is the Lord's, and in his law doth our house rest day and night. Let me tell you how it appears in the small hours of a day. A husband wrote that his mornings were battles, tight mouths over coffee, silence like a wall. He asked what to say at 7 o'clock. I sent nothing to say. I turned within, withdrew both names, and rested in the simple recognition, be still and know that I am God in the midst of you. Presently, the inner warmth came, a hush so gentle it could be missed, and with it, the quiet word, peace to this house. That was all. Later he wrote again, surprised that the talk had not ignited. He said she had laughed at a story neither of them could remember, and the day went on without a verdict. She did not credit him. He did not try to be credited. Do you see? They felt it without thinking of him, because love was the law there, not his effort. Or this, a mother, frantic with a teenager's storm, stood at the sink and almost called out commands. Instead, she turned from the person to the presence and waited until the shoulder fell, until a quiet warmth said, "It is I. Be not afraid." Within minutes, the boy came through the door, less bristled, asking for toast. No lecture had bridged the gap. The leaven had leavened the whole lump, because there is only one soul in that house, one mind, one spirit. What was realized as God within became the lawful tone. Without her pushing, trust this law. When peace has sealed you, you need not announce it or aim it. You need not check whether they notice, any more than the sun asks if your garden is aware. Some days the outer will shift at once. Some days nothing visible moves, but you will find that the very craving to make it move has been dissolved, and that is the beginning of dominion. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Christ doesn't send harmony as a courier. Christ is the harmony realized at the center, and therefore it appears at the circumference. So wait. Be still. Let the inner assurance come, and know that what is realized as God within becomes law without your push, without your plan, because there are not two here, only the one who is love. Now we come to the holy shift, without which all our minutes of stillness become private comforts and not a new life. Release the claim. Say it within plainly and with reverence. My partner is not mine, God's own. Who is my partner? Not the one whose name is on a form with me. Not the one whose habits match my preferences, one season or another, but the one attuned to love. The child of God, standing where my eyes think I see a separate person. Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? Those who do the will of the Father. So it is in your house. If there is to be a bond worth having, it must be born of God's own life recognizing itself, not of custodianship, born of fear. Begin here. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. That includes this beloved life beside you. Loose your hand, release it, loose it, and let it go, not as a gesture to test whether they return, not as a spiritual trick to make them kinder, but as worship. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I of my own self can do nothing, not even keep a heart faithful. My attention now is turned to God. In that turning, pray the prayer of liberty. I release you into the bosom of the Father. I refuse custody born of fear. You are God's own, and I behold you there. Then be still and wait. Let the claim that tried to name and manage another soul dissolve in the light. Do you see what dies and what is born in that moment? The owner dies. The witness is born. The manager retires. The companion in God takes the empty chair. You lay down the badge that permitted you to interrogate, and in laying it down, you recover your dignity. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty for both. In that liberty, tenderness returns, not the sentiment that bargains for safety, but the tenderness of God's own seeing, which does not clutch. You will watch the tone soften without performance, because you no longer conduct the orchestra. The government is upon his shoulder. This is not negligence. It is obedience. Render unto God the things that are God's. The soul that stands in your kitchen, that laughs and bristles and goes silent and returns, is God's. Give that soul back to its source in your recognition, and stand aside in reverent expectancy. You will not be left empty. The very space you clear of ownership becomes the room in which love defines both of you. Without the mold of your fear pressing inward, the true contours of each life reappear. Without your script, their speech becomes honest. Without your constant gaze, their freedom breathes. And you find that in freedom, fidelity is natural because it is of God. Practice this release as you would a sacrament. When the old claim rises, my partner, my way, my right, answer it with the vow. One is my Father, even God, and we are his. If the hand reaches for the leash, open the palm and say inwardly, Father, into thy hands I commend this beloved. Then wait for the simple seal, peace, warmth, the quiet sentence, fear not, it is I. Only then speak if speaking is given. You will notice how your words change. They cease to draft futures and begin to witness presence. You do not promise tomorrow. You confess God now. A woman wrote that she had become the warden of her own house. Keys on her belt jangled in every sentence. She tried this. Each morning, standing at the sink, she bowed her head and whispered, You are not mine, God's own. The first week, nothing but the ache of losing control. The second, a small warmth that would not argue. The third, she found herself listening when she would have corrected, smiling when she would have scored a point. She did not tell him of her practice. One evening he said, almost to himself, It feels easy here. Do you see? In the absence of ownership, dignity and tenderness reappeared, not because she engineered them, but because love took its rightful place as law. Let this be the identity by which you meet one another, not taker and keeper, not judge and defendant, but two faces in which the one life looks out. There are not two minds to be yoked by force. There is one consciousness in which Christ is realized. Stand there and let love be the definition. Let love be the law. Loose the claim and watch as the measure you thought you needed is exceeded. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, not by might nor by power, but by his Spirit. Now comes the operation, and it is simpler than the mind likes. Wait for the seal, then speak. Be still first. Turn from the person, from the case, from the fear that time is running away. My attention now has turned to God. Say it within. Be still and know that I am God in the midst of you. Then wait. Do not fish for a sentence. Do not rummage in memory for the right truth. Let the inner sanctuary settle until there is the unmistakable token of warmth, a soft inner loosening, or the quiet word that arrives unplanned, like dew. That token is your seal. Until it comes, remain at rest. Peace is your green light. Without it, remain at rest. Sometimes, after that stillness, only a single plain sentence rises so simple you might be tempted to polish it. Do not polish it. Let your speech be yea, yea, nay, nay. The given word is always clean of edge and free of agenda. It does not justify, it does not accuse, it does not bargain. It bears in it the quality of my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. And because it bears that quality, it does the work, not by argument, but by presence. At other times, no word rises. Do not be frightened by the silence. Silence may be the whole ministry. In that hour, your very being speaks. The atmosphere you carry becomes law to the room, and gestures as meager as pouring water or setting a plate declare more than paragraphs. If agitation remains, postpone the action. Put down the device. Step away from the doorway. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. This is not cowardice, it is obedience. I of my own self can do nothing. When the heat is in the chest, the mouth quickly outruns God. Let it not wait. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. When the seal comes, even faintly, you will find that the urgency has drained out, the verdict postponed without loss, and what you say or do then will be gentle and exact, as if measured by a hand that knows the circumference of both hearts. Do not try to make the seal come. That too is control in spiritual clothes. We are not prying blessing out of heaven. We are discovering that heaven is here when the air clears. If there is to be an answer, it will be given in its time. Grace is punctual without your clock. You will see this. A draft will sit unsent, and a morning will ripen it without your touch until suddenly you see the one sentence the Father gives. Shall we take a walk? Or, I love you. I'm listening. Or nothing at all. Only a hand on a shoulder at the right minute, and the atmosphere shifts as if a window were opened. He maketh all things beautiful in his time. Words given in peace carry a life the world cannot counterfeit. Not all the truths you have learned will heal a simple headache if they proceed without that seal. But one quiet line, born on the activity of the Christ, can dissolve a week of tension. Remember, there are not many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. When that realization seals you, even your silence is articulate. When it has not, even your eloquence is an empty shell. So do not hurry to be right. Be still to be true. This becomes your rhythm. Be still, wait, feel the peace. Then, and only then, speak or act. If the peace has not touched you, remain quiet. Nothing good will be lost by pausing for God. The government is upon his shoulder. Trust the timing that is wiser than your alarms. Let your words be few, and let them be born. Peace is your green light. Let every motion take its cue from that one lamp. And when it shines, move gently, knowing it is not your might nor your power, but his spirit that performs the work. Now let this descend from a beautiful moment to a lived cadence. Make a day a sanctuary by giving it a bell of stillness to ring it in and to ring it through. In the morning, before the world lays a hand on you, sit and be still, not long, not to prove devotion, but long enough to remember that God is, in the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up, say within, here I am. I, of my own self, can do nothing. My attention now has turned to God. Then wait until there is that first quiet seal, a softness behind the eyes, a warmth as though the lamp were lit. That is your setting of the day's tone. You have turned the government back upon his shoulder. At midday, renew it. Do not wait for a crisis to summon you. Set a commonplace altar, the edge of your desk, a closed restroom stall, the car seat before you step out. 30 seconds, 60 at most, just enough to turn from the hum of tasks to the hush of presence. Be still and know that I am God. Not thoughts about God, no reports, no plans. Only the remembrance that love is the law here. Then back to the hour with a heart that has been rinsed. Do it again as the afternoon thickens. A minute at the sink while the water runs. A breath while the kettle gathers steam. Pray without ceasing does not mean words without end. It means a rhythm of returning. A life lived with the ear turned inward. For the slightest stirring of my peace I give unto you. Between these anchors. Touch in briefly as the clock turns. When you notice the mind reaching to manage, open the palm and take one breath of surrender. Father, into thy hands. That is all. No one will know that a weight just rolled from your shoulders, that the jury in your chest has been dismissed again. You are training the day to be governed by love, not by habit. Habits run on yesterday's fear. Love moves on today's grace, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. At first you will keep this as you would any new discipline, on purpose and with reminders. Do not despise the scaffolding. Fidelity keeps the door open while you are learning the house. As the months pass, you will find that the prayer prays itself. The bell rings without your hand, and within you the spirit whispers before the mind remembers to be still. Then spontaneity begins to replace schedule, not by neglect, but because the life within has taken over the task you used to manage. Yet keep faith with your anchors. Let your morning look up. Let your midday return. Let your evening rest in gratitude. One thing have I desired, that I might know thee. Make knowing your only appointment that cannot be rescheduled. How shall you measure whether this cadence is working? Not by your partner's reactions, not by how quickly the outer complies with your hope. Measure by the inner ease that grows where strain once lived. By the way, urgency loosens its grip. By the gentleness that appears in your speech without rehearsal. By how often you find yourself postponing a word until peace seals it. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. When these fruits ripen unnoticed on your own branches, you will know the root has gone deeper. The outer will show forth in its time, but your task is the root, not the fruit. If you miss a touch point, begin again. Do not turn discipline into a cudgel. Condemnation is only another way of working on yourself without God. Quietly return. His mercies are new every morning. Release the hour you lost. Inhabit the one you have. One day of such cadence surrender will feel different. 1 week will begin to alter the climate of a home. A month, and you will wonder who took hold of the helm and steadied the craft. For you did not. Love did. So, set the cadence. Be still in the morning. Renew at midday. Touch in with a breath as the hours turn. Let it take over and rest, for the workman is in the house. Now, when the thing flares, when the pulse climbs and the courtroom in your chest rises to its feet, do not trust your readiness to speak. Trust God. Call a sacred pause. Say it aloud if you can bear it, or lift a hand as a sign you have both agreed upon. 30 seconds, not to sulk, not to rehearse your next exhibit. 30 seconds for God. Be still and know that I am God. Right there, in the doorway, at the sink, on the stairs, beside the bed. Bow the inner head and whisper, here I am. Thy will be done. Then be still. Do not add a word. Do not scan their face. Do not send a thought their way. Turn within. I of my own self can do nothing. My attention now has turned to God. While you wait those seconds, lay down your weapon. You know the last point that is burning a hole in your mouth, the remark that would score, the fact that proves. Open the hand. Let it drop without display. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Breathe the mantram, not as a spell, but as surrender. Be still, then listen, without listening for anything. You are waiting for the seal, a felt softening, a shoulder loosening, a finger's width, a breath that drops lower, the warmth that says without words, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The flesh profiteth nothing. It has to be God's grace. Do not rush to see if they've changed. Seek God alone in that half minute and let go of the trial. If the softening comes, even faintly, resume only in that peace. Speak little. Let your words be yea, yea, nay, nay. One sentence is enough when it is born. I love you, I'm listening, or I hear you, and I'm sorry, or silence that places a glass of water where anger stood. A soft answer turneth away wrath. If the softening does not come, do not force the river. Say simply, I am not at peace yet. Let us be quiet and stay still another 30 seconds or part for a time, 5 minutes, an hour without slamming any door within. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. Peace is your green light. Without it, remain at rest. You will see how one authentic pause reverses the current. A man wrote that they had reached the hallway verdict bags to the door, old vows mocked. He lifted a hand, and they stood 3 steps apart and kept 30 seconds. He felt a loosening, like a knot in a rope giving way. She sat down on the stair and began to cry, not from defeat, but from the atmosphere changing around them. No case was won. Christ had taken his place as law there, because there is only one mind in that house, one soul, one spirit. What was realized in one was the tone of both. They felt it without thinking of each other as adversary. Make these micro practices your common bread. The sacred pause, the laying down of the last point, the single breath with be still, the waiting for a seal, the choosing to speak only when peace leads, the courage to defer when it does not. Use them in the kitchen, in the car, at the text field. When your thumb is faster than your heart, put the device face down. 30 seconds for God. If the heat returns mid-sentence, pause again. 2, 3, 4. Such pauses in one conversation are not weakness. They are worship. Each is a door through which love enters to govern what your habit cannot. Peace to this house. Let that be the law you obey in the very moment of friction, and you will watch as the storm spends itself against the shore it cannot move. Now a word of discernment. Having spoken of pauses and seals and the courage to wait, I must say to you, do not turn these into charms. The letter is not the life. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. You can collect techniques like trinkets, rules for how to phrase a grievance, steps for how to apologize, affirmations to say before you enter a room and still fail to touch the root, because the root is not in the form. It is in God. I of my own self can do nothing. Not all the truths you can quote, not all the beautiful lines you can recite from any book, mine or another's, will heal a simple headache when they are moved by fear or used as leverage. It has to be God's grace. It has to be the realized presence. See how subtle the heart can be. You will say, I am using I statements now, and the air will remain tight as wire. You will count breaths, and the counting will be another kind of control. You will memorize scripture and deploy it like a witness for your side. All of it is letter when it is sent without the hush of God at the center. Techniques are at best doors you crack to let the wind blow. They are not the wind. What heals is not the counted breath or the gentle tone or the pause by itself. What heals is that, in the pause, in the breath, in the lowered voice, you have actually turned within, and the activity of the Christ has taken its place. Christ does not send peace like a parcel. Christ is peace. Christ is love. Christ is the very harmony we seek, being itself, realized within one consciousness. A woman wrote that she had charts for conflict, phrases ready for any weather, and a dozen little prayers on cards. They had become her shield and her spear, and still the kitchen was cold. She tried one more thing. She laid the cards down, sat in the chair, and said nothing, only, be still and know that I am God. And then she waited, not for a sentence to use, but for God. Presently a warmth rose, small as a candle, and with it came no clever line, only a soft willingness to wash the cups. When he came in, they spoke of ordinary things, and the day did not break. Do you hear? No charm had worked. Life had entered. Another man had learned to text perfect conciliations, and every one felt thin. He stopped and waited until the inner peace touched him, then wrote only, I'm here. It carried the weight of heaven, because heaven bore it, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. So let your aim be single. Seek God alone. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Stop trying to demonstrate a cooperative partner, a kinder tone, a quick end to this season. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. When Christ is realized, love appears as fidelity, as tenderness, as easy laughter, as wise restraint. But do not reach for the fruits, not even by spiritual means. Reach for God. One thing have I desired, that I might know thee. Then, if a sentence is given, let it be spoken. If a silence is given, let it be kept. The form matters only as far as it carries the life. Therefore use every gentle method as a servant, never as a master. If you must choose between applying a technique and preserving the inner seal of peace, choose peace and let the technique go. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let the pause be holy, because God inhabits it, not because you have numbered the seconds. Let the soft answer turn away wrath, because it is born, not because it is on your list. Keep the letter in its place, useful sometimes, and throw it away the instant it competes with presence. The letter cannot heal. the life always heals. And when you feel that living hush descend, however light, however brief, know that the workman has taken up his tools. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things. Let that realized Christ be the law of your home, and you will find that harmony has not been manufactured. It has been revealed. Now we must speak plainly, because the heart is cunning and will dress control in spiritual clothes. Watch for these traps. You set a timetable for God. I will do this for 7 days, and by Friday there had better be a change, and call it faith. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. You keep score. I paused 3 times. They did not once. I apologized twice. They owe me, and call it righteousness. Charity thinketh no evil. You perform piety prayers just loud enough to be heard down the hall. Devotional books left open to strategic pages. A holy tone that floats like incense but hides a frown, and call it witness. These are not surrender. These are negotiations with heaven. They are poverty dressed as silk. Quiet time used to get a result is still quiet, control. If you sit in stillness in order to move a person, you are not with God. You are conducting a subtler argument. Let loose right now. If, while you breathe your gentle breath, you are peeking over your shoulder to see if the door will open, you are sending a thought. We do not send thoughts. We do not influence minds. We turn from the person to the presence. I, of my own self, can do nothing. My attention now has turned to God. Be still and know that I am God in the midst of you. Then wait. Do not sit to change them. Sit to know God. The more you try to demonstrate a cooperative partner, the less you will have of it. But in loosing even that, love appears of itself. Beware the game of deadlines with the holy. I will give God 1 week. If no apology, I will escalate. God is not on your clock. Grace is punctual without your timetable. Wait for the seal. Then speak. Until the inner peace touches you, remain at rest. Do not mistake delay for neglect. It is mercy protecting you from your own haste. A man wrote that he had crafted an ultimatum, set to send at noon on the 3rd day. Twice he sat to pray and rose with no peace. He dropped the letter, ashamed, and said only, "Thy will be done." The next morning, a call came uncoerced, and the conversation that followed was clean. No leverage, no debt, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. Let me name the subtlest snare, doing right things with a hidden agenda. You fast, but your fast is a hunger strike to move heaven. You give, but in your heart you calculate a return. You keep a gentle tone, but your eyes are bailiffs. This is letter without life. The antidote is not more refinement, it is release. Loose the outcome, every one, put it on the altar and back away. Renew the single desire until it is the only fire in you. One thing have I desired, that I might know thee. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. Expectation from him, not from a person made to play God for you. A woman confessed that she had become a saint at him. She managed her voice, measured her pauses, laid scriptures like breadcrumbs into conversations, and all the while watched his face for compliance. The air between them went brittle. One night, weary, she stopped performing. She shut her door, sat, and whispered, "I have been trying to maneuver love forgive me. I of my own self can do nothing. She waited with no plan to use what came. A small, tear-warm peace rose, and with it nothing to say. She went to the sink and washed a pan. When he entered, she did not speak a prayer. He stood next to her, shoulder to shoulder, and they spoke a very little, yet the edge had melted. Do you see? When the agenda died, love took its seat as law. So it is, surrender the hidden agenda. Seek God, not results, and results will find their rightful place. If you catch yourself testing God, stop and say, into thy hands. If you find yourself keeping accounts, burn the ledger. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. If you hear the holy tone creep into your throat, swallow it and be silent until peace anoints the words. Return to humility each hour. I can of mine own self do nothing. Let the activity of the Christ do the work, because there is only one soul here, one mind, one spirit. What is realized within you becomes law in the home without your pushing. Christ doesn't send peace as a tool to get what you want. Christ is peace. Let peace be your aim, God your only pursuit, and watch as all rightful order appears in its time good measure, pressed down and running over, not because you managed it, but because you ceased managing and let God be God. Now, widen the circle. The law that restores a kitchen to gentleness is not a small household trick. It is the law of being, because there is only one soul, one mind, one spirit. What is realized as God in one point of consciousness becomes tone wherever receptivity appears. God is. Christ is. But look out upon the streets and borders of the world, and you will be told that hatred rules, that camps multiply and tribes harden, that families divide and teams fracture, that the world is at war. How do you match that up with God is? You do not by proclamation. You do by realization. Christ is a reality, if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. It is the dwelling, not the declaring, that carries power. Do not set out to fix the city by argument any more than you set out to fix your partner by pressure. Turn within, be still, and know. Let love become the law in you until peace takes up residence and governs your breath, your walk, your look. Then go about your business. You need not carry a banner. Ye are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. When the lamp is lit within, it throws its quiet out beyond your intention. They will feel it without thinking of you, without thoughts ending, without influence attempts. A meeting ends without the usual wound. A sibling call that used to tighten the ribs becomes human again. A team that had learned to score points discovers it can solve a problem. Why? Because there are not many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ, and that realization becomes a law of harmony unto your experience and all who move within its circle. A man wrote that his office had become a contest, cleverness for sport, sarcasm as currency. He stopped answering in kind, not by suppression, but by turning within 30 seconds at the stairwell, Father, into thy hands, and then waiting for the seal. He returned with no new technique, only a different atmosphere about him. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Within a month, 2 colleagues began to check their jests mid-flight as if the air were thicker. A manager who had never apologized did so plainly. No campaign had been mounted. No one was corrected. Life had entered because space had been made for it in one consciousness and those attuned felt it without knowing why. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another, not by slogans, but by the felt quality of love in the midst. So it is in neighborhoods, on school boards, in the long corridors of hospitals, in the small rooms where estranged kin sign papers. I do not say, go and speak for God. I say, go and be still until God is realized, and then be where you are. The Spirit will choose its own speech. Sometimes the speech is a smile that does not mask fear. Sometimes it is a refusal to pass along a rumor. Sometimes it is silence that leaves a door unslammed. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. I of my own self can do nothing. But the Christ realized in you becomes the law of cohesion where you stand. And because consciousness is one, the threads begin to draw together of themselves. Let your house be a small proof. Let it be said there, quietly and without announcement, that peace lives in this corner of earth. Not perfected people. Realize presence. Let the children who pass through feel ease without a lecture. Let the guest who has forgotten how to trust find her shoulders lower by a finger's breadth at your table. Let the neighbor who carries a private battle rest 5 minutes longer on your step. That is witness enough. Peace be to this house. If the world is to believe that God is, it must touch a life in which God has become operative. Let that be yours. Embodiment, not argument, carries it. And as it carries in you, it will carry beyond you. For there is only one life here, loving itself into form. Now let us seal what has been heard with a vow. Not a promise to try harder, not a pledge to polish our techniques, but a letting go. Say within yourself, softly and without strain, I will stop fixing. I will stop managing this person and this bond. I will be still until love is the law here. Let it be simple. I of mine own self can do nothing. My attention now is turned to God. Lay it on his shoulder. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Let this be your vow. I will not work on them. I will turn to the presence. I will seek God alone until peace seals my hour. And I will let that peace be the green light for my word or my silence. Be still and know that I am God. Before we part, let us keep one shared minute, together or apart, to make the vow flesh. Set down your arguments as you would set down a heavy bag. Close the outward eye and turn within. Do not look at them in your mind. Do not send a thought. We do not influence. We do not project. We consent. Father, into thy hands. Breathe and wait. If a warmth rises like a small lamp, if the shoulders fall a finger's breadth, if there is the slightest whisper of my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, that is the seal. If nothing is felt, be still anyway, and let the minute be for God, not for result. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. 1 minute of realized stillness does more than hours of negotiation without it. Let love realized within take its seat as law, then rest the rest with God. Now lift your eyes to the horizon and have no limit on God's capacity to reveal himself in this union. Do not write the script and hand it to heaven. Do not decide the form who apologizes first, what shape tomorrow takes. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The adding belongs to God. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, the ways in which love will appear when love is permitted to be itself. Christ does not send harmony like a courier. Christ is harmony, peace, fidelity, joy, being itself. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. Have no limit on how far, how deep, how swiftly this realization may register when the block of control has been removed. Leave with this clarity. Forget them. Remember God. Each time you reach to measure their change, turn back and measure only your surrender. Each time you feel the tug to explain, to correct, to angle, turn back and say, one thing have I desired, that I might know thee. Heal the bond by healing your consciousness, for because there is only one mind here, one soul, one spirit, what is realized in one becomes a law of gentleness to both without your pushing. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Let the burden be your claim upon the other and your timetable for love. Loose it and let it go. So go in this commission. Keep the cadence you have learned. Morning look up, midday return, evening rest. When friction threatens, pause and wait for the seal. If peace is not present, remain at rest. When words are given, let them be few and born. When silence is given, stand in it as in a sanctuary. The love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost. Let that love be the law of your life together, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. Let it govern the hour, and then the day, and then the house, until it is said there without trumpet, peace be to this house. Commit your way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass in his form, in his time, by his grace. Love becomes the law as you consent, and the rest you may safely leave with God.